Hello everyone, welcome to Cover 2 TV. I'm Steve Hoare, this is Chris Pajak, that's Tom Jennings. We're here with our latest discussion show and it's called Things We Can't Wait to See in the New Season. Pre-season, as we know, is underway now. It's kind of like football, but it's a bit fake.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, yeah, it isn't football, it is football, but it's not doing it really for us, but it's giving you a little bit. And it's got the juices flowing, so to speak, Chris. And we had a conversation about things we are most looking forward to seeing in this season, things that have changed, you know, lots of changes in the NFL every season. We know that, Jenno, as well, you know, free agency, injuries, signings, the draft, coaches changing. So there's been quite a bit of manoeuvring, Chris, and we're going to look at some of the things, you know, we're most looking forward to watching. And I'm going to start with you, and it was the one you wanted to talk about first was your Minnesota Vikings.
Of course.
Because what?
Do you know what? I've not really talked about the Vikings very much, and I think it's fair to say, in a proper post-Peterson era, we're going to see what the Vikings are up to nowadays. You know, we know we've got the good defence. We're going to have that. I'm thinking that that's going to improve as well. What we need is some kind of an offense. You know, we went 5-0 at the start of last season, didn't we? And, you know, it basically ended up 8-8, which is terrible after the first 5 games. And, you know, it's obviously, we know that Teddy Bridgewater went down before the season started. Sam Bradford coming in, playing in North Turner's offense. Pat Sherman's coming now, changing slightly to a bit more of a West Coast offense. And what we're going to see is, I think we're going to see hopefully a little bit more of a running game now. I think, you know, we've got Dalvin Cook, we've drafted him. He's going to add something to that game as well. In the first pre-season game, he gets 5 carries for, I think it was 13 yards. It's not great, but he gets 33 yards in the air game and stuff. So we're looking to see how he can pick up short passes and stuff like that, hopefully open the field. And just, as I say, just play a little bit more of a West Coast offense. And, you know, that defense continues how it's going to continue, hopefully, and develops. This Minnesota Vikings team can go much better than 8-8 this season.
Yeah, for sure. And Jenno, Chris mentioned there, you know, obviously Teddy Bridgewater went down. It was a horrific injury. He still hasn't recovered yet. He's going to miss this season as well. But for the Vikings to go 5-0 with a quarterback who just turned up, literally just turned up a week before, traded for him, to go 5-0 wasn't achieving, but then the wheels kind of fell off. I don't know whether teams were getting a bit more tape on them. Obviously, the offensive line was just atrocious. As Chris, I mean, the amount of times we come in here, Chris, and we'd just be laughing at that line. That's the issue, isn't it? You know, Chris talks, it's a post-Peterson era, so there's no star now, there's no main man in Minnesota. Can Dalvin Cook behind that offensive line, do you think he's got what it takes to just fill that void? Because it's massive shoes to fill.
Well, that's what they're all hoping in Minnesota. They're hoping Dalvin Cook can be that guy, because I can tell you who isn't, and that's Latavius Murray.
Yeah, he definitely isn't.
No, Latavius Murray is like the most milquetoast running back there is, so you need Dalvin Cook to be something. And especially because you're in Minnesota, you can't really be an air out offense. It's too cold. You're in the NFC North. The weather's not great. So you need to have a strong running game. That needs to be your foundation, and that's what they need from Dalvin Cook. And that's what they've got to hope he brings you. But I still always look at what's Sam Bradford going to bring you. Can he win you a game? Or does he just try not to lose you a game? And how strong and I think the could come down to what's Sam Bradford going to do next year? And how do you think he'll do?
I think that's a little bit unfair, if I'm honest. I think Sam Bradford has proved when he's fit, he's a good quarterback.
I get loads of stick because I say this to my mates all the time. I quite like him. I think he's quite good.
Yeah,
and everyone looks at me like I've got 2 heads. So maybe I'm missing something on him. But I quite like him. Last year, he had no shot. And I watched, obviously in preparation for this, I watched the pre-season game. And twice, he was only on for a couple of series, he got absolutely smashed. The offensive line just didn't protect him, and it's a massive worry because he is very injury prone. He couldn't, you know, even in the West Coast offense, he didn't even have time to get the ball out. It was that bad. And that's the main worry for me, is that the sole reason I think the Vikings didn't make the playoffs was because that line was that bad. I think if it was league average, they'd have been 10-6. But the fact it was that bad...
Maybe so. I think you're right. I think we saw 5 starting left tackles last season, loads of combinations on the O-line, and that's right. But, you know, we've drafted a centre as well, so hopefully that'll improve. It's going to take time. It always does with the O-line, doesn't it? Yeah. That's the one group of players that I think, you know, need to work together every single week, and you make one change and the whole thing seems to go to pot. Like,
and you're going to make... Is it going to be 3? Because
probably
Riley
3,
Reif, Mike Remmers, and Pat Elflein, sorry.
Pat Elflein, the centre.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, all I'd say on that is it couldn't get worse. So if you're hoping that, and listen, we spoke in the draft series, Chris, very quickly. I think Dalvin Cook's a star on the field. Obviously, the reason he fell wasn't on the field, it was off the field.
Yeah, and apparently, look, through training camp, he's looked good.
Yeah,
you know, we never saw it in the first pre-season game, as I say, but, you know, running between the tackles and stuff like that, he's supposed to be able to have that power running game to him as well. Not only dink and dunk there, we're going to see him a lot more in that kind of thing, but I think when you talk about the Vikings and what they can achieve this season and what happened last season, not enough was made of North Turner leaving after 7 games. You know, they were 5-0. And then they had 2 more games and North Turner goes down and the offense goes to pot and there's absolutely no ground game whatsoever. You know, it's difficult. A new quarterback coming in first and foremost, learning a new system and then manages to go 5-0, but then his offensive coordinators change.
And you lose your star running back.
And we lose our star running back as well.
And all your O-line.
And the O-line. And the problem with the Vikings the problem with the Vikings last season is every time someone went down, they went down for the season. It wasn't they go down for 3 games. They went on IR pretty much every injury.
Yeah, you lose your quarterback, you lose your running back, you lose your defensive line. 8-8's a miracle. I think it's
that defense, and that defense can
as a Packers fan, they're the only team in the division that scares me. I mean, no offense to Lions or Bears fans, not for me yet. The Vikings genuinely the only team I think who scare me. Moving on then, a team who almost give your Patriots a bit of a scare in the playoffs. I think if they had a quarterback, it would have been a real scare. Was the Houston Texans in that game? If it wasn't for Brock Osweiler being Brock Osweiler, it might have been a bit more difficult game. And you want to speak about the Texans' defense then, Jenno? It was already great. It was one of the best in the league, if not the best. And they're getting maybe the best defensive player in the league back. It's got the capability to go from great to super great, if that's a terminology we're going to use.
It is now.
Yeah, why not?
Well, see, the thing with the Texans defense is it is that good without JJ Watt. So what's it going to be with JJ Watt in it? And also, I want to see how, because JJ Watt has made a career out of looking for your weak spot in the O-line and then attacking him. Well, with Clowney on the other side, now Clowney's going to be like, no, this is my guy, I'm going to attack him. How's JJ Watt going to do that? Because we know he's got a bit of an ego.
He'll get what he wants. He'll just get what he wants. He'll just get what he wants.
But there's also the thing is, I was looking at time thinking, who's a fun defence in this league? Who's actually good to watch on defence? And they leap off the page for you. And you just keep thinking, if they only had an offence. If they only had an offence, they'd be so scary. Which was mad because for years, they only had an offence and no defence. It's like just swap round. But they've also got other changes that you're going to have to look at. They've lost AJ Bowie. So now we've got a new cornerback, tandem in Jonathan Jackson and Jackson Kareem. Sorry, I really knew that off the top of my head. Yeah, and I think that new corner, we need to see how that's going to do. I mean, the pass rush is going to be great. That's what I like to see. They've got the best
pass rushers in football.
Well, you spoke about Clowney, you spoke about what you can have Whitley Merciless in. They have this from 5. Have you seen it? They'd line 5 defensive linemen up and just go 5-on-5 against your offensive line and say, you know, all the best fellas, and we'll beat you. And then, like I say, I think they lost Kevin Johnson at corner as well last year, and he's going to come back. So it is there for them to take that jump. And in a division that isn't the best, again, we spoke about the Vikings going 8-8 with no offense. The Texans kind of did the similar thing, didn't they? They got to the playoffs and almost beat the Patriots. I think that game's closer than it looks if Brock doesn't just keep giving the ball away, because they were getting after Tom Brady, they were getting in his face. Again, if they can get league average quarterback play from one of Tom Savage or Deshaun Watson, they could, in theory, do some damage. They could be a team that New England fans think, listen, we're New England, we fancy our chances. But that team has got the capability to beat Brady, which is by smashing him in the face. Yeah,
that's the only team I'm scared of. Like, people keep talking about the Raiders. I am not bothered by the Raiders at all, because we've got a better offense than them and a better defense. But that defense scares me, because that defense can stop anyone, and that's why it's so bad.
Tom Brady's kryptonite, Chris, has always been, you know, the elite defenses. We've seen them. He went into Denver and got absolutely smashed to bits, and he lost that game. The Texans came pretty close last year. For 3/4 of a Super Bowl, the Falcons were all over him. That is the way to do it. And if you're building a team in the AFC, that looks to me like the way you've got to go. At least until Brady goes. You've got to
start with your division, haven't you? Yeah. And that's the right way to do it, because you're not gonna outscore them every single week, are you? But what you can do is you can get at Brady. And you know the thing with Brady is he's probably the best of all time, but you can get in his head. and you've seen it not many times over the years, but there's been a few times where a defense has gone in his head, and you know every quarterback sees ghosts at some point. This Texans defense can make you see ghosts, no problem, and there's still room for improvement there. As we say, we're putting probably the league's best defensive player in JJ Watt back in, but they didn't have enough takeaways last season. 17 takeaways on the season, ranked 26th, tied 26th. It's not good enough, which is a clear indication of they can still improve, and they'll be working on that all summer.
Yeah, AJBU will be a loss, but let's say Johnson come back, Jackson and Kareem, there's enough there, and that pass rush would absolutely terrify me if I had to play Houston this season. I'd be scared for my quarterback's life. Never mind anything else. My first topic then, I wanted to bring up, and anyone again, if you watch the draft series at home, you will know how much I am in love with Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. I watched the pre-season game, not live, watched it on Game Pass and went back, and I'm even more in love with Christian McCaffrey. So my first topic is the Carolina Panthers offense, and not only is it an addition of one of my favourite college players in recent years, it's such a big change, Chris, in that they're going from a team who were fundamentally get Cam Newton on the run and just chuck it downfield, or you use a power run game. So they had Funchess and Benjamin, and then obviously Ted Ginn running as far as he can and dropping it when it got near him. they drafted with the drafting of Christian McCaffrey and Keith Samuel. It looks like they're going a little bit more West Coast, a little bit dink and dunk maybe. But then you've got Cam Newton, who's a quarterback who doesn't, in my opinion, suit that style of play too much. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how. I mean, there was talk. You know, Cam was asked, you might not be asked to run as much, and he said it's like asking a lion not to roar. Yeah. Which basically means I'm going to run. I'm running with this ball. So it's going to be fascinating to see how, because that's a major shift from an organisational standpoint of we're going to get big body guys who, because Cam isn't the most accurate, you can launch it to them, to this new dink and dunk style of play. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Carolina Panthers offense right now could be more of a chess match against any defense, because what McCaffrey gives you is that versatility. You know, is he going to line up in the backfield? Is he going to line up as a wide receiver? You know, you can play with a certain group of players and play 2 or 3 different formations with them. We even saw him playing out of the Wildcat. We saw him playing shotgun in the Wildcat in the pre-season games, and that's mental because
I love it.
Do you know what? It's absolutely mental though, isn't it? Because this guy can be so good in this league. You've talked me in big time on him, to be honest with you, first and foremost. So when I started watching him, I was like, oh yeah, actually, you know what? I've heard Steve talk about this guy so often. But you are going from just throwing it up to the big guys to be able to just chess match anybody, and that's going to be a massive shift. And it might take a little bit of time. It won't work straight off the bat, I don't think, anyway. But, you know, a few weeks down the line, what it means is hopefully Cam Newton will be a little bit fitter and a little bit fresher because he's not having to do as much running. And then towards the tail end of the season, that's when you might see the Carolina Panthers offense click, and then they might really be able to turn it on.
I suppose the one thing we're not going to get at the moment, Jenno, Cam's still injured, so the pre-season would have been. He wouldn't have played many snaps, obviously, because why would you put your quarterback out there? But it looks like he's going to struggle to see him much game time at all. So, you know, it could be, like Chris said, it could be week 4, 5 and 6 before they're really on it. It just... Can you see or envisage Cam Newton just handing the ball off that many times, or just a little dink and dunk passes? Because Cam as a pocket passer, for me, wouldn't be a top 10 quarterback in this league. Cam's Cam because of the physicality he brings, and he's literally the only quarterback in the league, I think, who can just run over a linebacker. It's going to be interesting to see that change, because I can't imagine them turning Cam into a dink and dunk pocket guy, because I just don't see that. It's not his skill set.
But I mean, a lot of people thought that about Ben Roethlisberger. He wouldn't be able to change into a dink and dunk quarterback. He is now. That's what he does. He stopped running. He stopped trying to extend the plays. Now, Cam is a lot better than Roethlisberger running the ball than Roethlisberger ever was. He's much more flexible.
I think he's the best running quarterback.
I think he's the only one who has the physique to keep that going. Whereas all the other quarterbacks who run quarterbacks end up being quite brittle and suffer a lot of injuries because Cam's so big. Him hitting a linebacker, the linebacker goes down, not him, which is just mad. The other thing you've also got is Kelvin Benjamin looks like he's back and he's looking like a monster. He was absolutely destroying everyone in the pre-season. I think he's going to do that in the regular season. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And now he's got that net, so he's got the Christian McCaffrey will be a safety net. When he can't get it there, rather than just trying to trust his arm, you can just dump it off for 5 yards and watch him go. I mean, we're called cover 2 defence. The best way to be cover 2, just throw it to your running back. Yeah. That's what the Patriots always do.
We're not called cover 2 defence.
No, so we are going
Cover 2
It's based on the cover 2 defense.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
It's fine. To be honest, it was called cover 2 before you turned up. I had to change it to cover 3 soon. I don't think such a thing exists. Chris, the second subject that was one I was really interested and fascinated in your thoughts when you brought it up was, obviously, we know Zeke Elliot. I really struggle to say. Ezekiel Elliot has been suspended. I'm going to call him Zeke. Zeke Elliott's been suspended for 6 games as it stands. Obviously, appeals are going on. I mean, ask Tom how long appeals can take and how long a guy can actually wait to serve a ban. But you said, can the Cowboys win without him? How big a loss do you think he is for those first 6 games? Bear in mind, it's the Giants, the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Packers and Niners. There's some good teams in there.
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 games, probably the home games, thankfully, for them, I think I'm right in saying. But,
the Giants game is, yeah.
Top 10 defences, aren't they, both of them? And you know, that's going to be a struggle for them. But, you know, me and Jenno discussed this last week. That offensive line is still probably the best in football, isn't it? And let's be honest, you've got Ronnie Hillman. Who are the other 2?
Darren McFadden and
Darren
Morris. It's probably going to be Darren McFadden.
Yeah, but Darren McFadden's had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons himself. Alfred Morris had 3 between 2012 and 2015, I think it was, for the Redskins. You know, these are experienced guys. These aren't rookies going in here, and they should be able to get some wrinkle in the scheme where they get yards, which will be interesting. And you know yourself, and here's what's really fascinating for me. Tom Brady misses the first 4 games of last season and they go on to win the Super Bowl. Now, how good will Zeke be when he comes back? When, like, you know, fresh.
Yeah.
And you know,
Left
when
Bell's
you,
the same
exactly,
way,
so you're coming down the stretch, hopefully. The Cowboys just need to keep it safe and just keep grinding out a couple of wins. But a running back going into the off-season fresher than anybody else, a running back of his calibre, could actually work in the Cowboys' favour towards the end of the season. You just need to make sure that they are there after the ban.
Yeah, because they have a bye week in there, Jenno. We're not going to see him until week 8 of the season, obviously their 7th game. But Chris mentioned the offensive line there. They have had a couple of losses, haven't they? They've lost 2 pieces on that line. I think they're going to play Lyle Collins at right tackle, and then God knows who's going to play guard. It could be anyone, but like you mentioned, they've still got the best centre in the league. They've got the best left tackle in the league, and they've got one of the best right guards, if not the best right guard in the league. So we've seen Darren McFadden run for 1,000 yards behind this line before. Now he's not Zeke Elliot, but do you think that, like say, 3 replacement level guys behind that line is almost part of what some other teams have got anyway, in terms of what you can get from the run game?
It is. It's part of what other teams got, but I've mentioned this on that show as well. Their defence isn't very good, and Zeke Elliott eating up the clock is what survives their defence a lot because they keep the ball. Now, I expect Dan McFadden to do well, and I think he'll probably end up, because he did well in the year in between DeMarco Murray and Zeke Elliott. Yeah. But how did the Cowboys do overall? They did not. They suffered badly, and that was mainly just by quarterback play, because the running back couldn't help them out. It couldn't save them. They just ended up being a very mediocre team. Then the defence got destroyed. So what really needs to happen here is you want Dak to manage to make that go about 3-3, and then you unleash Zeke in week 8. Yeah. And then you're on a place then where you can where you maybe go 12-4 or even 11-5 and sneak in through the wild card, but you're the most feared wild card team in the NFC.
Yeah. Where do you stand on this thing?
I think I predicted them to take a step back anyway, because 13-3 is impossible. It's almost impossible to repeat 13-3 unless you're New England. No one goes
12-4. We go.
Yeah, very rarely the teams go 13-3 twice. I think the Giants are really good. They were my pick for the division anyway. I worry that teams aren't going to be scared of Darren McFadden, so that puts more pressure on Dak. You know, when you played the Cowboys last year, your first and foremost goal would be try and stop the run. Now, not a lot of teams did it, but that was your aim. If nothing else, you stack the box and say, listen, if you want to beat us, Zeke's going to have to run through us, which, you know, he tended to do, or Dak's going to have to throw. And if you watch a lot of Dak's throws, they're very safe throws. I mean, which is fair enough. He's a rookie quarterback who's just got thrown in. He was 3rd string for a while. But Cole Beasley got more action than Cole Beasley's ever got in his life. If I'm playing the Cowboys now, I wouldn't stack the box. I'd say run Darren McFadden at me all day. I'm not scared of Darren McFadden. Can Dak beat me? And that's the question. We don't know. Again, that's something we're going to find out.
The other thing, I suppose, is you know, these question marks have been asked of Dak Prescott since the season ended. Is he good enough? Are we going to see him? How are we going to...
You forgot he existed.
Yeah, well, exactly. We are going to... He is going to be the guy in the NFL, probably more than any other, that has a point to prove with Zeke's suspension. And, you know, you never know how that affects somebody. It can have a positive or a negative effect. But I'll tell you one thing that is almost guaranteed for me is when Zeke comes back in, he is going to play out of his skin.
Yeah, the whole chip on the shoulder.
Absolutely, like whether you agree with the NFL's decision or not.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. But the NFL, you know, they've made their call on without evidence and all that type of stuff. There's witnesses and all that type of stuff. They're a business and they've made a business decision. And Zeke Elliot will have lost out because of that business decision.
Well, his contract his contract no longer guaranteed. He's losing game money. So yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting. I think he will come back. Like how the interesting one is maybe fantasy football comes in later is where you take him and what you do with him. I imagine the obvious answer is take Darren McFadden as well when you draft Zeke when you can and get Darren McFadden later on. The next topic, Jenno, is your second one. It's the Bengals. Very interesting off-season the Bengals have had. They lost two massive pieces off their offensive line. Kevin Zeitler and Andrew Whitworth gone to Cleveland and LA respectively. They have drafted in a wide receiver in John Ross. They drafted in Joe Mixon. Again, controversial figure off the field, but on the field, no doubt on the talent. Your question was, can they return to their 2015 levels when obviously Dalton had AJ Green, Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu, and then they had Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill playing well. Last year was down the tank. Can they get back to those levels once again?
Well, actually, my point was, when you looked at the 2015 team, obviously, his main four tags were AJ Green, Tyler Alford, Sanu and Jones. Well, Eifert went down injured, Sanu went to Atlanta, Jones went to Detroit, and he had a bad 2016 season, and then everyone's saying, oh, Dalton's terrible. Well, if you lose 3 of your 4 main options, you're going to have a bad offensive season. And then the running backs didn't produce.
No, Jeremy Hill was terrible.
And also the offensive line got worse in 2015. So the offensive line's got worse, but the offense looks better because Joe Mixon looks like he's going to be a star.
It's ridiculous.
Let's forget about the off-field stuff because we can't control that. We can only see what we see on the field. He looks like he's going to be a star. He looks amazing.
He's David Johnson. It's terrifying.
And then you've also got Jonathan Ross, going to be the fastest player in the league. I believe he's just started training again now, so he's going to be healthy by the time the season starts. With that burner, how would you cope with him and AJ Green? AJ Green's the third best wide receiver in the whole league, and then you've got a burner next to him. What do you do? Tyler Eifert's back. He's one of the best. He was in our top 10 tight ends. He's a great player. It's all going to come down, I think. It's not down to Andy Dalton. It's going to come down to the offensive line, even though Andy Dalton's going to be maligned for if it's good or bad.
That's the press you take as a quarterback, Chris. You know, we've heard people talk about this before. When you're good, it's everyone's good, and when you're bad, the quarterback's bad. But I agree. Cedric Ogbuwe might be the worst tackle I've ever seen. Honestly, he was dreadful last year. He was absolutely shocking. And the Bengals' plan was to draft. It was Ogbuwe and Fisher, so that they could eventually let Zeitler and Whitworth go because they can't pay everyone, which is fine. So they followed through on their process. The only issue with the process is the replacements weren't good enough. That's the one cause of concern to me, because I agree the weapons are absolutely fantastic if they can be healthy, because there's always question marks on. I mean, Eifert's injured all the time. John Ross has come in injured. But again, we're talking at another team that it's just could be held hostage by the line. Even if that line's bad, for example, if it's terrible, can you see Andy Dalton being a man to overcome a bad line? Because we've seen some. Yeah,
no, I don't think we've seen enough. You know, I think Jenno's right in what he's saying, talking about his wide receiver options and stuff, and he lost them. But Dalton, he's all right. He's a sound quarterback, but he's never going to be a guy who wins your games on his own. There are other quarterbacks in this league who can do that, and for me, Dalton's not like that. He never will be like that.
So he needs these weapons to be amazing, and the line just to be good enough. Because in theory, again, John Ross burns down the field, AJ Green goes over the middle, and you've got Joe Mixon catching out the backfield. That's hard to stop, provided the line can just give him enough time, because those two guys last year were absolutely dreadful, and that's the key, isn't it? It's amazing how many conversations when we refer back on this channel, go back to the offensive line, considering it's such a difficult thing to play. There's no one's that good at it.
No one even understands it. I mean, I watch it and I get told that this player's good, but it's just two big men running into each other and I have no idea what's going on.
The basics, there's the other big fella, stop the other big fella getting through, but I just think, I think it's slightly unfair on Dalton if he's getting absolutely, a bit like Sam Bradford last year, if you're just getting hammered in the face all the time, it's going to be really difficult. It doesn't matter what weapons you've got around you.
The difficulty is, we see what the TV wants us to see, and the TV follows the ball, you know, and I think the best commentators out there don't follow the ball, and the best analysts out there don't follow the ball. They start by either looking at the offensive line, and they start by maybe looking at the safeties to see what we're doing. You know, we don't get that when you're watching a live game. You know, they've got the time to be able to explain it much better, but your average fan doesn't care about that. They want to follow the football, and they want to see what the quarterback does, and as such, everybody talks about what the quarterback does and not what the offensive line does, and it's a bit of a shame. I'd love to be able to have played American football so that I understood the intricacies of it, because let's be honest, I ain't gonna play. You know, there's no position with a body like mine where you can pretty much play. Maybe some kind of really crap fullback because I've got a really good low sense of gravity and I'm all right at that type of stuff. But you know, that's pretty much it. I'd love to play American football, I'd love to understand it, but you just don't get that type of insight unless you read books on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you though on the Bengals, that he could get to that level if it's good enough. Because imagine the line's good. Let's just say it's league average. It's the 15th best offensive line, which is pretty good in the NFL, not because there's some terrible ones. You mentioned AJ Green there before. He's like one of the least talked about stars in the league. The guy is phenomenal. Do you think because there's a clear, everyone thinks Beckham, Jones and Brown are probably the top three that everyone talks about. Fourth, there's a battle for fourth, isn't there? And it looks like it's him and maybe Mike Evans who are battling to try and break into that top three. And in this offense, AJ Green could be that guy to get there, I think.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to take you out of that. But
the
thing about it, we got to think. The thing that's holding the Cincinnati Bengals back is also Marvin Lewis. And how does this man still have a job? He lost every playoff game he's ever been in, but he only gets there a few times. He doesn't get there consistently. Well, he did have a few years there, but that team should have done more. That team should have won a playoff game. And I think they're also getting held back by Marvin Lewis. And Andy Dalton takes a lot of flack for Marvin Lewis being bad. I mean, I just want to see what your thoughts on him are.
I think the scheme's good. I just think when you as an organisation decide that you're going to gamble on high risk characters, you can't be surprised when those high risk characters lose your games. Like that game in Pittsburgh, they had no right losing. But, you know, we have
Vontae
Burfict and Pac-Man Jones have been, you know, clowns. But if you're going to gamble on cheaper players because they have off-field issues, you can't then be surprised when it gets you. It's like buying a dog that bites for cheaper and then being surprised that the dog bites you. It's like, well, that's where you are. But yeah, the Bengals, the one it's
about ambition for me, and that's what it's very, very easy to try things and fail, and we've seen so many teams do that over the years, but the Bengals aren't failing, they're doing enough. Now it must be infuriating as a Bengals fan, and I think if I was a Bengals fan I'd probably think completely differently, and I'd be like, get rid of him because we're not going anywhere with him, it's going to be a struggle. But there are extenuating circumstances. I mean, AJ Green played 6 games last season, that's why people aren't talking about him. He's injured a lot, you know what I mean, and that's where it comes down to. When you're talking about skill set, AJ Green's got it all.
Yeah, just the injuries for sure, absolutely. You stay fit and you get your notoriety for sure. Final one, and this was my topic, and I do it every season. I do it every single season. I look at Jacksonville and I go, why aren't you good? Because you've got because you've been that bad for so long. You've got so many top picks. You've got all the money in the world, so you bring in free agents after free agent. Now listen, spoiler, the answer's the quarterback. That's why they're not good. But my question is, can the Jaguars defense become the best in the league? And
that's a big question.
And I think it's very good. Let me just.
I just went with elite. Can they become elite? You've upped that. You've upped that to the best defense in the league.
Can they be the best defense? No. Or can they be? No, you don't think so. No. If I just mentioned to you,
not now.
Oh, okay, elite.
They can become elite.
You got Dante Fowler, Malik Jackson, Sheldon Day, Calais Campbell, Telvin Smith, Miles Jack, Paul Peluzny, AJ Bouye, Barry Church, Tashawn Gibson, and Jalen Ramsey. That's like. It's a bit of an all-star team. The worst players are very good players, in my opinion. You know, Paul Peluzny and Barry Church, probably the most average players, and they're decent starters in this league. And I just think there's got to be a time where all these picks pay off, at least on one side of the ball. And I think the addition of Calais Campbell is absolutely massive because he finally gives them a pass rush, because as it stands, Dante Fowler hasn't really produced to the level he should have. Although he did have an ACL, so you can kind of understand that. Malik Jackson's a stud. If you watched him last year, you can see that. And Jalen Ramsey 2 years ago was the player. He was my Christian McCaffrey of 2 years ago. He was the college player I was in love with, and I think anyone who watched him last year, you'll agree he was an absolute star. The issue is, I don't think it's a talent thing. I think the issue that's going to hold them back, and I like your thoughts on this, is the offense. In that, are you going to be on the field too much because your quarterback's crap?
That's the problem. You know, you can't just expect your defence to go out and do it. I've seen it from the Vikings' point of view last season. What happens when you just keep giving the ball back? You keep getting tired, you concede loads of late points, and that's what happens in the NFL. You can't be having a defence facing between 80 and 100 snaps a game. I'm not sure exactly on the stats about how many the Jaguars are facing, but it'll be a lot because the offence is shite.
Yeah, well, Blake Bortles likes giving the other team the ball, and they have gone some way to stop that, Jenno, because they've drafted Leonard Fournette, and you watched them, he played against the Patriots, and then he looked pretty good. In that, at worst, they're going to give him the ball, even if he's running in for a yard. It looks like there's a clear plan to just give him the ball two times, and keep it out of Blake Bortles' hands and give that defence a rest, because that's the only shot they've got.
Yeah, well, see, it doesn't help your defence when your quarterback's throwing pick sixes.
Well, yeah,
because that's not going to help any defensive stat when they keep being 7-0 down, 14-0 down, because he just keeps throwing them.
He's threw touchdowns to 9 different teams in this league.
Wow, that's more than like most quarterbacks.
Well, he's only played for one. He's only played for one team. He's got three touchdowns.
It's more than Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, it is very nine touchdowns he's been thrown to other teams. Blake Bortles, very quick off tangent. There was a great bet last year on defensive touchdowns on the betting channels. Whoever was playing against the Jags was just like buying money for a long time. That paid for my kids' dinner for a few months. But I suppose that they've identified, they know they've got an issue at quarterback. So they went and got the big body running back. And you mentioned before, Zeke keeping the Cowboys off the field. In theory, that's what the Jags need from Leonard Fournette. Yeah,
so what they need is obviously to not play. Because we just watched, the two Super Bowls, the reason why the Patriots beat the Seahawks and beat the Falcons is because both of their defense were gassed. And when they were gassed, they couldn't get to the ball as quick anymore. And then that's why the tide turns. That's why the Patriots won both Super Bowls. And now that's what happens when your defense is constantly on the field. So Leonard Fournette eating up the clock, giving the defense actually some rest and not just going, we're going to be back on in 5 seconds, mate. Pick 6. There we go. So when you got that, and then you've got the fact that Calais Campbell should be that lead that they need. I'm also in love with Jalen Ramsey. I think he's amazing. I love the way he was just giving it to Steve Smith as well. It was brilliant last season, and I think he's going to be a star cornerback in the league where star cornerbacks like to tell you the star cornerbacks. I think he's going to be one of them. So I think there's so much potential in this defense, but I've been burned by the Jaguars before.
Yeah, that's all right.
And I also think Texans are going to have the number 1 defense, and then probably the Ravens.
And then the Broncos are there as well. The final one, you mentioned, cornerback pairings. AJ Bouye and Jalen Ramsey as a duo, Chris. Again, that with Calais Campbell hunting down your quarterback, obviously his press is going to help those. But those two could be like something really special.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is a great move, isn't it? Getting Bouye in and being able to pair him with him. And look, it's going to make them a good defence. They're already a good defence. They've got the players there to become that. I just wanted to go back to the Fournette stuff. For me, right, Leonard Fournette is going to be a star in this league, absolutely. But you are pinning the hopes of potentially one of the best defences on a rookie running back. Yeah. And I think this season you might not see it. You might see it in a year or so time, because I think everybody knows that you can just they'll just stack the box against him. And in his first season in the NFL, how's he going to do against an 8-man front? You know what I mean? And then what'll happen is you can't run the ball every single time. You'll gash Fournette out, and then you'll end up gashing your defense out because of that. At the end of the day, it's going to come back to the quarterback at some point, and Bortles is shite.
He's not very good. Very quickly, the final point I want to make is just keep an eye on Miles Garrett. Sorry, on Miles Jack. Keep an eye on Miles. Keep an eye on Miles Jack. Anyone who English fans here who went to the London game, he was the player who impressed me the most. The Jags won that game, which is mad against the Colts, but
Miles Jack when they're going to become the London whatever.
Yeah, eventually. Again, go back to the show on moving franchises, but Miles Jack's a star. If he's fit. The issue, he fell to the second round because he found something wrong with his knee, but he could be a special guy. Just a little tip from me, keep an eye out on Miles Jack this season. So, yeah, anyway, guys, that was our show for today. The things we're most excited to watch. Please let us know in the comments below what you thought of all our topics, if you're a fan of one of those teams, or if you're not. Let us know also what you're most excited to see this season. Green Bay winning the Super Bowl. Good answer.
Nope.
No.
Wouldn't like to see that. It doesn't really make me happy.
Doesn't do it for you. It doesn't do it for you. Or you. It's fine for me. I'm alright.
Kind of like my team to win it. For the first time since I've been supporting them.
Let's just be realistic and let the Patriots win it again.
Yeah, that's what's going on. But let's just jib all this. That's what's going to happen anyway. But no, again, guys, thanks so much for watching the show. Please give the video a thumbs up. It does help us. And subscribe to the channel. We're over 400 subscribers now.
Yeah, man.
We're doing well. We're getting there. We're building up. The target, I said a few weeks ago, the target's 500, and then we'll have a massive celebration in here when we get to 500. So yeah, until then, guys, like I say, thanks for watching. Jenno, Chris, and me. That was Cover 2 TV, and we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.